Sandy Says Read. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do a review and discussion of The Sugar Creek Gang by Paul Hutchens. This one, we did a quick unboxing of this book and another older book. It's been a couple months ago. I didn't look up when that happened before I started filming, but a couple months ago we did a quick unboxing here on the channel. I'd ordered a couple of older books online. They came in. This was one of them. This is the first in the Sugar Creek Gang series. And you guys, at some point in this video, I'm going to call it the Sugar Hill Gang just because that's going to happen. Roll with it when it does, okay? Okay, the Sugar Creek Gang, let's look at the specs for this. It's by Paul Hutchens, a story for boys and girls. The first in the series. This particular book is 120 pages, and this one was published in 1955. This edition was, but it was first published in 1940 from William B. Erdman's Publishing Company out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. It always, I don't know, it's interesting to me how many publishing companies have come and gone, over the years. It's just something interesting to me. Anyway, okay, so this is the story of Bill. Bill is a kid, and I don't think I ever caught his exact age, all right? I'm getting the impression that he's maybe like an 11 or 12-year-old boy, maybe 10, okay? He's a younger kid, and he's on summer vacation. Like summer break has just started when we start this story. But he's William Jasper Collins is his full name. He goes by Bill. Bill calls his parents Mom and Pop, and Mom and Pop factor into the story because this was released in 1940 and the family unit was still together. And he obeys Mom and Pop, and he's just a good kid, okay? And he gets into adventures. And that's what this book is. It's a bunch of boys having adventures during summer break. And it's the beginning of summer break. We don't go too far into summer. I think we get up to the 4th of July. I think there's a fireworks thing that happens in here. I should be able to remember. I just read this. I'm reading a lot of books right now, you guys. Okay, anyway, the storyline, though, is intriguing. It's interesting to me because we've got these kids who are just, they're having summer break. They're having a good time. They're, going to the swimming hole. They're going fishing. They're just hanging out together when, surprise, someone robs a bank. And they're trying to figure out who the robber is. And these kids, 9, 10, and 11 years old, decide they're going to figure out who the robber is, right? Like precocious kids will do. They're going to go on an adventure and find the robber before the cops do. And they actually run into some kid that they think might be the robber. They chase him out of something, in the woods near their swimming hole, right? You chase this guy out of the woods, and this guy ends up getting caught by the cops. But he's not the real robber, which, there's a twist there, right? I mean, for 120 pages, a whole lot of stuff happens in this book. For a 1940s book, a whole lot of stuff happens, a lot of twists and turns. And this kid, his name is Barry, the kid who gets caught and we think might be a robber. He's not really a robber. He's been invited to this town by his great uncle to come visit. But everyone's like, the guy who has invited him, the great uncle, Mr. Paddler, everyone thinks Mr. Paddler is dead. We think that Mr. Paddler died 12, 13, 14 years ago. He's been gone for a dozen years. Why would this dead guy be inviting you to town? You must be lying as well as robbing us, right? The whole mystery unfolds, and we discover that Mr. Paddler did come back to town, did come back to his home, and the real robber has incapacitated Mr. Paddler in his home, and he's taken on the persona of Mr. Paddler, and he's gone and robbed the bank. And so there's a mystery in this adventure, and these kids discover it, and they end up tripping and incapacitating the bad guy, saving Mr. Paddler, reuniting Barry with his great uncle. It's a nice happy ending. It's a good story. And I don't think anyone out there is going to be unhappy that I've just spoiled the whole story and the ending for you because this edition was published in 1955. How many people out there are grabbing this book up and reading it right now? Probably not a lot. And on one hand, that's a shame because this book, it's very innocent and very sweet, it's kind of didactic. There is this thread of salvation running through it, and I mean that literally. The young boy Bill, he comes to Christ in this book as well, and that's just like a subplot in the book. He has a friend named Poetry, and Poetry, he's nicknamed Poetry because he likes to say rhyming poems all the time. So like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, there's like a verse in here of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. There's verses in here of Jack and Jill go up the hill. There's little verses in here. I wish I could just find one. Here we go. Oh, you guys, I turned to it. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, how I wonder what you are. And then he says, I always did like that poem, ever since I was little, so I made him quote all of it, liking especially the verse which goes, in the dark blue sky you keep, and often through my curtains peep, for you never shut your eye till the sun is in the sky. So there's these cute little lyrics throughout this story that Poetry is saying to the other kids. So there's this sweet innocence to it, right? But Poetry says his prayers every night before bed, and there's this little rhyming poem that he says for his prayers, but then he includes words. He just says things to God when he says his prayers. And Bill finds this intriguing. When they have a camp out and they're, just getting ready for bed, and Poetry kneels down to say his evening prayers, he includes just extra stuff that he's just saying to God before he finishes his prayer. And Bill is like, wow, I've never thought of that before. I never thought that I could just say stuff to God. And so Bill tries it. And so there's this theme throughout the book of Bill figuring out that he loves Jesus, that Jesus can take care of him, that he should let Jesus know that he loves him. And he finally does. And it's this lovely moment in the book. There's this other element in the book of family happening. The mom gives birth to a child. In the middle of the book, all of a sudden, Bill goes over to Poetry's house for a sleepover. And when he comes back the next day, Mom had a kid. And like in 1940s fashion, we never know that she's pregnant until, poof, there's a child. And there's a nurse in the house assisting. And but the little baby is a girl. And Bill is like, I don't know if I like that. Girls are kind of gross. I didn't want to have a little sister because girls aren't all that great. And then he realizes that he really does like having a sister, and he's kind of protective of her, and he feels like he should protect her. And he goes out and picks some flowers to bring in, and he's like, do you think she would like some flowers? And Mom thinks that's great, that he's welcoming and accepting his little sister. So it's a sweet, darling book, very didactic. I mean, heavy-handed in the wholesomeness, right? Of course, it feels heavy-handed to me because I'm living in 2023, not 1940. It's lovely. Okay, so if you guys did want some kind of like wholesome, wonderful, lovely book, this would be an awesome one to get for your, tween or your young reader. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So that's the story of Bill and him getting a little sister, coming to Christ, and catching a robber. All wrapped up in 120 pages. That's it, you guys. Thumbs up for good, wholesome stories from the 1940s. And, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I welcome you to do so. You have to click the bell notification icon so that you're notified each time I do these random book reviews. Thanks for tuning in, you guys.